Welcome to Real Women Real Estate. I'm Courtney.
I'm Kimberly.
I'm Eboney.
And I'm Brittney.
Today's episode is called Creating and Preserving Generational Wealth, episode 16, with our special guest, Brittney Golden. Woo, woo, woo. All right. So, quote of the day. Our quote of the day comes from none other than Lena Wraith, and is, don't ask if your dream is crazy, ask if it's crazy enough. Okay. And energy, it's just powerful here. Quote today, just always dream big. And I wanted to start off this episode. Is really special because we have a native Houstonian here with us, and all of us are Texans on the show. It just so happens to be that. And I would be remiss if I did not mention what happened this weekend with George Floyd. I want to acknowledge that George Floyd was 46 years old when he was murdered in Minneapolis by Minneapolis Police Department. And George Floyd was also from Houston, Texas. He graduated from Jack Yates High School, grew up in Third Ward, where my mother is from, where Kimberly's family is from as well. This is just very near and dear to our hearts as women of color that have raising sons that are African Americans. We want to just say that this is just a tough time. It's emotional, and our thoughts are with his family. Our prayers are with his family, and we'll dedicate this show to them. All right, and then I want to start off with introducing you, Brittney, and giving you your praise, giving you some love and some shine, because you've been doing great things in Houston. And you are also, as I mentioned before, a native Houstonian who's making strides in the community, financial services, real estate industries, both. You also are a proud graduate of PV, Prairie View A&M University. Brittney, you are leveraging your degree in business administration to help families create and protect and pass on generational wealth. As an agency vice president for Appreciation Financial, a licensed realtor with United Real Estate, and a fix and flip real estate investor. You are a true triple threat, and just proof that with hard work and motivation, nothing can stop you. So we appreciate you for being on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And we just want to kick it off with some questions for you, and just kind of get into, how you kind of got into this real estate industry, how you got into the game. And so, how did you get started? Eboney would say, did real estate find you, or did you find it?
I think I might have to answer that and say it found me, because for some reason, I was just around people who were realtors, with several years of experience. They were doing a little bit of fix and flips, rentals, and project management. So oftentimes I tend to bring my friends together, and conversations would happen that I couldn't really partake in. I didn't really feel knowledgeable and confident to speak on the topics, and they were just so intriguing that I was like, I gotta get in on this. So that's really where it all started. Just those dinner table conversations, those hangouts with people who had, I think at that time anywhere from 3 to maybe 10 or 11 years worth of experience under their belt. And I wanted to be familiar, to be knowledgeable, and to be able to make a difference like they were, in addition to everything else that I was doing.
Okay, so question. When you went to school, you didn't have any idea that you were going to be into this market?
Never.
Okay,
Never.
So we talk about this often, about how, especially with entrepreneurship, and how a lot of our community has not been around or didn't see, we might be first generation entrepreneurs or second
Right.
generation. When you said that you were around people, how were you around these people? Like
Friends.
Really?
Friends. No one in my family that I know of. I mean, obviously we have, our owner-occupied properties and things like that, but not anyone, in my immediate family that was involved in fix and flipping or rentals or any commercial. So it was really just the company that I chose to keep around, friends and things like that, and associates.
That's awesome.
That is dope, because it's all the time. It's really about, if you change the people that you're around, you usually change yourself.
Yep.
And if you're hanging out with knuckleheads, then you'll probably end up being a knucklehead.
That's right.
Tell my mom. So how did you combine the two industries of real estate and life insurance?
Well,
are they combined? Do you combine the two?
Or are
not as much as I probably could and should. So I pretty much put a halt to my insurance and financial services career once I got started in my flipping. So by the time that I got my real estate license, I had been an insurance agent for about 5 years. And that same year, I got a second insurance license and my real estate license. But it wasn't until, the following year that I actually got started with flipping. And so once I got my hands on it, I couldn't stop. It required a lot of time for, the outcome that I was after. So I just, in insurance, it's, it's commission. You get what you put in. And so I took the step towards just going hard at, building my savings and things like that, building up my residuals as much as I could before I was willing to make that transition and, back off a little bit of my day-to-day routine and then, get started in flipping full time.
And I bet you that helps you, right?
I'm sorry?
I bet you that helps you, right? Just in regards to already having a connection and a database with insurance, you could easily just tap into that same market and say, hey, do you guys have any interest in real estate? What are your real estate goals?
That was actually the goal. Initially, I think my idea initially was getting my real estate license, which is what I did first before I became an investor, was to take that book of business that I had with insurance and to then transition some of those insurance clients into real estate clients. Because at that point, I think I had a little bit over 1,000. I said, well, if I can let all these people know that I'm in real estate, I know that they're going to be buying, selling, renting, and investing. I don't think I did the necessary marketing to have the results that I actually envisioned when I started. And then I took a different route. I got my hands on investing and I got a taste of it, and I just haven't really looked back. But, that's because then a new goal came about. And so now that, that goal is almost fulfilled, I want to step back into mastering, and having multiple different transactions and policies and, things going on with the clients that I've already established relationships with.
And just multiple levels of income.
Yeah. And then also, Brittney, on the back end, I know I have my my insurance license. Kim has her insurance license.
Yep.
And I know one of the things that I ran into when I got licensed and was doing like financial services is that a lot of times I ran into people who didn't understand budgeting and just simply did not have the income. There was no concept of wealth creation or anything like that. And so one of the things that I found with real estate is that it gives that other piece of how to increase your net worth, and how to generate income. So I guess my question for you would be like, do you see a pathway with like educating people on how to leverage real estate investing with protect, like once they create that wealth in real estate, like how to protect that with insurance, or like what are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So to kind of go back a little bit on the beginning part of your question, when you come across people who are either hesitant with saving or they're just really bad at it, it's hard to even get them to get in a position to purchase. So with insurance, my specific area of practice has been in the teacher market. So I've specialized in 403B retirement planning and life insurance. So with that being said, I got the opportunity to get people in a position to where they got to start saving, and they may have never even started saving before. And then with the ability to take a hardship withdrawal it put people in a position to go and then purchase real estate, right? So I didn't really do a lot of that, but for me, it made a difference because you got somebody who can barely save, $25, $50 a month, and then you put them on a plan where it's payroll deduct. So it's amazing because they forget about it, and then they look up a couple years from now, they have a couple $1,000, and then now they're in a situation where they can probably better understand a conversation regarding real estate. And that now they can understand because they believe that they can do it. And a lot of times it's that belief that people don't have. They don't think that they can do it because of the finances or because they just hadn't had the conversation. So, I think insurance has also allowed me to get in front of a lot of people to make a difference, where as a realtor, I don't have that much traffic. The market that I was in, which was, like I said, working with educators in the schools and things like that, I'm in front of a lot of people. So the volume is way different from your everyday realtor. And that was, again, the vision as to why I started off with my real estate license, so that I can use that book of business and those clients to then begin to start educating them on real estate.
That's an awesome niche.
Thank you.
So we're not educated. I'm not really educated on insurance. First of all, I didn't know that the two of you had insurance licenses. And so now the three of you have insurance licenses. And so I think that maybe our audience is more like me and without one. And maybe you guys can educate us on life insurance. I just want to talk a little bit about life insurance. I only have life insurance through my employer. That was my first introduction to life insurance. And when I was married, when I first got married, I think year number 2 was paper. And so they say life insurance as the gift. You know how they have those traditional gifts? Yeah. And so that was kind of the introduction to life insurance. Can you break down life insurance and what are the different types?
Absolutely. And one thing I'm going to answer that you probably did know is that what a single insurance license, life insurance license, gives you the ability to also do financial planning to a certain extent. You're not a financial advisor, but most life insurance companies are life insurance and annuity companies. An annuity is a retirement plan. It's something that you can use long term to take a stream of income at some point in time in your life. So I did both sides of it. And then in an annuity, you can have a 403B, you can have an IRA, you can have a 457, you can have a Roth IRA. So all of those retirement tax codes that we're used to hearing about, 401ks, right? Your insurance agent can also support you in getting those accounts set up as well. As far as life insurance in general, the insurance that you are used to and that most people are accustomed to getting first and learning about is your group insurance. It's through your job. It's not a permanent policy though, because let's just say that unfortunately there's millions of people who are unemployed now due to COVID-19, right? So their employer let them go. They may or may not have gotten a severance package. They may or may not have gotten approved for unemployment, but more than likely they don't have insurance anymore, right? Because their employer let them go. So
absolutely.
What's very important to me and what I educate people on is that the life insurance policy with your job is great, but you need to have a standalone policy that you own, that you pay for out of your bank account every month because you own it. And a unfortunate layoff or a unexpected illness or something like that, more than likely that policy isn't going to cover it. So the insurance that I've been educating people on and offering people on is life insurance with living benefits, life insurance with cash value, which is what and how you can create generational wealth. So you have 3 types of insurance. You have term insurance, you have whole life insurance, you have universal life insurance. Term is cheap, it's simple, it covers you from either anywhere between 5 to 30 years. Once that time period is up, you're risking going to purchase another policy at the expense of you no longer being uninsurable and that premium increasing. That's a risk that you take. Some people are willing to do it while they have younger kids, while they have a mortgage, different things like that. But other people aren't, because it's a risk. I mean, we don't know what our health conditions are going to look like when that time frame expires. So then you have the next two options, which is either whole life or universal life. Whole life insurance is that, you can pay for your whole life, you can pay up, usually it pays dividends, it's very cut and dry. However, it's the most expensive insurance that you can have, because the insurance company is saying, hey, you're 20 years old, your life expectancy could be, 60 or 70 more years, but we're committed to insuring you until that time frame or beyond, until 120 years, right? So the cost of me covering you until 120 versus, 30 years from 20 to age 50 is going to be a little bit more cost worthy, right? And then both of those term and whole life policies usually have guaranteed premiums. They don't fluctuate, and they also usually have guaranteed death benefits. So, if you are okay with $100 a month premium for $100,000 worth of insurance, that's not going to change. It's going to stay the same forever, depending on which policy you get. So if you do a 30 years, whole life, your whole life, unless you, like I said, do a paid up or something like that, where the insurance company will take a lump sum amount of cash and allow you to purchase this policy with that lump sum, and you never have to, make another payment again. And universal life, which is my favorite. Universal life is my favorite because it has a lot of flexibility. It also has additional options to make money other than just dividends. So universal insurance is a little bit lower than whole life. It may be a little bit more than term. But what it does is it kind of meets you where you are. So let's say I'm 32 years old right now, right? Versus me waiting 10 years and being 42, I'm going to pay for insurance at the age that I am now, versus a whole life policy, it's going to be a little bit more, right? So the policy premium or the policy cost of insurance does increase within the policy. But let's say that I'm making good money right now, and when I turn 60, I no longer want to pay for insurance. Universal life policy has those premium flexibilities that make it so amazing for people to maximize setting up life insurance, generational wealth, a medical policy for emergencies, or whatever reason they are purchasing the policy. It gives them so much flexibility. And then on the death benefit, let's just say that you can only afford $100,000 worth of insurance today, but you know that in 10 years, your income is going to change and you're going to want $500,000 worth. Well, you can have an increasing death benefit option built in within the policy that allows you to pay a little bit more than the traditional cost to create a savings bucket. And then that savings bucket can accumulate interest. It can accumulate interest on a fixed basis. It can accumulate interest on an index basis. It can accumulate interest. You can purchase sub-accounts, mutual funds in them. So the universal is what I have. It's my favorite. And, it's what I typically educate people on first. And then the second phase of life insurance that I truly appreciate today is living benefits. So a lot of people don't know that if you have a $500,000 worth, $500,000 policy and you're diagnosed with cancer, you actually have access to accelerate that $500,000 worth of insurance. You don't have to exhaust your retirement. You don't have to be a burden on your family. You have something that you can tap into, that you own, that you made a mature decision on purchasing, so that you're not a burden on your family. And a lot of people don't think about that. Most companies kind of build that cost into the cost of insurance. But, when somebody's looking at, a basic $25 a month policy versus they come to me and it's $125, I have to convince them with all these different benefits as to why that policy is a little bit more. But once I break it down, they typically are okay with it and, want to move forward. So I know that was a lot, but.
No,
that was worth it.
Yeah. And what you said is like, people need to really just sit and let that sink in, because everything that you said, people are doing out there. And that's what separates our demographic a lot of times from other demographics is that we don't leverage that information the right way. Especially what you were saying about universal life and index universal life. When I was introduced to that, it just opened up a whole new world. It's like, oh, it's chess and checkers out here, right? So one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is how I've heard of people, of course, using life insurance to, generate wealth off of being a beneficiary or something like that. But have you heard of people borrowing against like a universal life insurance or a whole life insurance policy for real estate? And if so, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So there's no right or wrong way, or, you can use the cash value in the policies for whatever you choose to. College planning, retirement planning, to purchase a home, purchase the investment property, buy a house, get married. I mean, you can really truly do whatever it is that you want to do with it. But what people don't understand is that it takes time. And if you don't have a ton of money to dump in at one time, you're not going to get this big lump sum of interest over a matter of 2 or 3 years. Like, you have to literally understand that if your premium is $200 and your cost of insurance is $150, you're literally only putting $50 per month into a savings. So I always lead with, what is your goal and what is the time frame? Because oftentimes it's just not realistic. If you have a 10-year-old and you're trying to create a college plan using an index universal life insurance policy, paying $50 a month for the next 8 years, and you want $50,000, that's not gonna happen. Interest rates aren't 30%. They're anywhere from maybe 4 to 6%. On a conservative level. Like, it's just not realistic. So, there's in order for me to suggest that somebody use a life insurance policy to purchase real estate, they would have to probably have a $1 million policy or something, and they're dumping in thousands of dollars a month or something like that. Other than that, I would bring up the conversation of a self-directed IRA and see, what do you have in your retirement account that you're not satisfied with the investment outcome, and let's look at a self-directed IRA, and then you can go and buy real estate in that. That's a whole other topic that we're not talking about.
Yeah. And we can get in the weeds on that. Like, I'm nerding out right now. I'm telling you right now, like, I love it. But let's this is a real estate podcast, okay? We like this real women real estate, right, guys? Right?
That's right, Ebony.
Yeah,
That is.
It's a real estate
Real
podcast.
women.
Okay, thank you, Courtney.
Yeah, and women
you're a
are
hype
having
girl.
these conversations.
Yeah, and these are the kind of conversations I think, it just, to me, it's a full circle conversation. But you talked a little bit before about being a house flipper and about that kind of being what you're doing with your time nowadays. So can you tell us a little bit more about that strategy? How did you, decide that was for you? And what is your advice kind of, really quickly on somebody who thinks they want to flip a house?
Okay. It was the first investment opportunity that I got. I knew that I understood that buying and holding wasn't going to give me the results that I needed today. I've worked long and hard for many, many years trying to get out of debt. Just being immature with my money. And, I decided when I got my first deal and I saw what I could make, because I had gone to so many classes and I had been taught and educated on how to purchase and how many lenders were willing to lend, which is the most important thing. You can't even get money, and I'm big on, using other people's money, which is another conversation. You can't get people's money if you don't buy the property correctly. And so what that means is that there's a threshold that lenders want to see for them to even lend on the money. And to me, that threshold protects me and it assures me that I'm going to be profitable. So once I was able to identify that buying and holding wasn't going to give me the income that I needed today to meet my goal, which was to get out of debt quick, within a year, 2 years time frame, I committed to only looking to purchase properties the way that I was taught, which was to buy them at 70% ARV. And
Brittney said, I need my money.
So that's like a running joke too. It's like, when you go to buy a property, people trump up the ARV and say it's worth more than it really is. And Brittney's like, no, I'm not, no.
Well, I mean, the MLS will give you all the answers. If you're unable to identify what the ARV is using the MLS, then the lender probably won't lend. And that probably means that that's not something that you want to buy.
Right.
Right? Because the neighborhood that I've been focused on, the days on the market are 30 and under. So my lenders say, okay, there's substantial ARVs, the properties are selling, we're interested. If they're interested in protecting their $100,000 to $200,000 per project, if they're willing to lend on that, that means that I've identified a good potential property. And the fact that they're not just willing to buy anything, that makes me feel so good. And I'm so appreciative for that, because if I was in a situation where my lenders were, uneducated or, just not interested in my safety and my investments, then that would probably lead me to failure.
Are you using private lenders or are you using traditional lenders for your project?
Private lenders, they're relationship based, and you really have the ball is in your court with them. They have their terms, but usually once you do good and you establish a very good relationship with them and you respect them and you guys, respect each other and learn to trust each other, they tend to waver on their terms. So
you want to reach out to Dallas and work with us with your private lenders?
Let's do it.
A whole slew of houses, ma'am.
We can JV it up. One of my mentors are actually in Dallas, so
come on, JV. Come on with the JV.
Yeah, we can JV it up, and I mean, anytime I reach out to this guy, he answers my phone call, my text messages. He's never been. Well, actually, he's been to one property. I think it was the very first one. He came down to, and if he sees something that he doesn't agree with, he'll say, Brittney, why are you being cheap? Or, and that's what you need. You need somebody that's going to be honest with you. You need somebody that truly has you in their best interest. And he does. And it's really good to work with an experienced mentor, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So speaking of that, because of course we had to, stalk your Instagram page and find out what to ask in the first place. You yesterday posted how you were doing a rehab class.
Yes.
Tell me about that, and how is that going? How'd you even come up with the concept of that? I think that's amazing, by the way. But tell me how you came up with the concept of that, and what does your class entail?
Got it. Thank you, by the way. So obviously, people have their programs about social media, right? Oh, I don't want to put my business out there. Oh, this, oh, that. And I think with real estate, it gave me the confidence to share, because I identify an area that people are really interested in and that could make a difference for the culture, for the communities, for everything. So with me posting, whether it be videos on my IG story or just before and after pictures or whatever, a lot of people would start to reach out. And so I found myself, having conversations often. I can't chill with Bae or chill with the family, if my phone is ringing all the time. And then I realized that the increase in interest is outstanding. And, the more people you help, the more a difference that you'll make. And also, like you just said, hey, you're doing good. If you're willing to help, I may have some opportunity out here. If you can come, that's an opportunity for both of us to have some success. And for me, that's what it's about. So my goal was to collapse timeframes and to be able to help more people at once. And so it actually was birthed out of COVID. I had just finished a 4-month project in Third Ward. I knew y'all would do that.
Send me that address. Send me that address. I want to see, girl.
I did it for y'all. So I had just finished
Shout out to the trail.
project. And before I started that project, I was in the schools. I was, whenever there's a small break, I would go back into the schools. I may recruit somebody, teach them the business, whatever. And that's exactly what happened. I finished the 4-month project that I had completely walked away from being in the schools, doing the insurance and retirement practice. And I was ready to get back in. I was ready to go. I had a new recruit. I'm like, yeah, after spring break, I'm getting back in school. We bring food to the schools and feed, and everybody loves to eat. And I'm get 25 appointments and boom, 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 boom. And then COVID. So I had a lot of time. And then I had one house that was listed for sale, and I had one house that I had been waiting to close. It kind of gave me some fear about, whether or not we were going to close on time. It was a lot of different things going on. And like I said, I had just listed this one, and then here's COVID. So I had a lot of time, and it's something that I always wanted to do. And so I did it. But one motivating factor was that I was in need of help. As far, financially, I feel like, I hadn't been working for 4 months. I've been working 4 months for free. So I've been living on my savings. So although it had always been something that I wanted to do, that entrepreneurship kicked in, to be completely honest with you guys. And so it was a combination of both. It was a combination of, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. I need to create a stream of income that's going to help support me stay afloat until I can get this house sold, but simultaneously, it was an opportunity for me to help 8 other, new investors that were interested in figuring out, where do I even start?
Mm-hmm.
So I jotted notes every other day, different things, and I just came up with the curriculum. I put it together. We had a 3-day PowerPoint on Zoom for an hour, and then we had 3 tour days. And the live tours, they appreciated the most. Like we learned the business here doing this Zoom. We learned about LLCs and how to purchase, and we did case studies and lender terms and borrower profiles and property profiles. We talked about all of those things. But then, we did that on Thursdays, but on Tuesdays, we all met up. In the midst of, the pandemic that's going on, I felt like it was necessary to let people know that if this is the career that you're going to choose, things may be going on that you're going to have to still get done. Like this is your business. This is your income. And I was a little hesitant about having the in-person class, to be completely honest with you. But I still had to go to work. And so I just allowed an opportunity for other people to decide if real estate is really what you want to do, then it is an essential business. And you do have to, you have to show up. And
it doesn't stop.
It doesn't. And even to add to another question that you guys asked earlier, when it comes to my success with investments, I show up every day or every other day at worst case scenario. And so in my opinion, to be the most lucrative and successful fix and flip investor, you have to be able to be present, to manage your project, to make changes at the drop of a dime, or to go to Home Depot 2 or 3 times a day to pick up different materials. You have to make sure that your contractors aren't buying unnecessary material, for another project, or buying tools. I found a tool, I just did a random little receipt check, and I typed the number in, and I'm like, this is a tool that he probably already had, but he didn't return to me. So I'm gonna ask for my tool back because I paid for it.
Energy, yes, ma'am. That is boss energy.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I always go to Home Depot with them.
You always go with them? You always go with them?
Well, let me not say always. A lot of times, now we have a crew that we trust. And again, so the thing that I've learned in this business, that you can also get a crew that you trust, and then you trust them too much, and then they You give them
the tool.
take them out, right? Right now, we don't have that problem. I've learned from several mistakes of trusting too much, because last year when this happened with our last one, I was big and pregnant. So I trusted.
Right.
And I let them make it, and they took advantage. Yeah. So, you go through the steps of not making, to make sure that you're not getting taken advantage. And I think that's the hardest part about, especially with flipping, that people don't understand, is that it's not even just finding the house and finding or determining what repairs need to be done. It's also determining again, Courtney and it stresses this all the time. You need a good team. If you do not have a good team, it's not going to happen. If you don't have a good realtor on your side, if you don't have a good title company, if you don't have a good contractor, it's not going to work. And you're yourself stressed out. We've been there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. And then like you said, you checking receipts. They get over. They try to get over. Everybody's trying to get over, especially right now. It's COVID. So check.
You really have to manage your bookkeeping. If you're not paying a CPA to do it, you got to sit down and you need to, one of the homework assignments for the class was to find three lenders, three fix and flip lenders.
Homework. Oh yeah. A real class, girl.
Yeah, it was a real class. So one of the homework assignments was to find three lenders and to go ask them for their terms. And so I said, well, what I don't want to do is get you guys on the phone with these lenders and you don't know what you're talking about. So we kind of discussed some of the terms, that they can ask for, so that they can have a conversation where the lender would take them serious enough to sit on the phone and actually explain. And I brought that up because in my experience with trying out different people, you won't make any money if you are with a lender who charges outrageous fees or a contractor who charges you outrageous. I get these people to itemize every job item. You're not going to tell me, and I buy my own supplies. So I saved, this guy was going to charge me $20,000 for material. He gave me a $48,000 bid. I said, okay, take the material off. Now the bid was $28,000. I got another bid for $17,500.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So you got to ask around. You got to be very specific and hands-on. And, that's my thing to tell people all the time if they really want to see nice results in real estate. Because if you're not present and you're not actively involved with the financial aspect of it, you can definitely get taken advantage of.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's a business.
Miss Brittney, this conversation has gone by so fast. And I almost want to have you back on. Let's stop the general principle that number one.
We can do a part two.
We need a part two.
I like it.
Part two.
What you're talking about is really, like I said before, it's the entire circle, right? People need to know how to generate wealth, create that wealth, and pass it on. And I feel like you are one of the few people that I've met who are actually in a position to be able to do that whole circle. So kudos to you.
Thank you, love. Thank you
absolutely.
much. I appreciate that.
We want to be respectful of your time. So we're going to just ask one more question.
Okay.
And we are readers.
Okay.
I'm waiting on Kim to say something.
She's sidetracking.
She's not going to say nothing. So we are readers here. And we believe that learning is the first step to everything. So we want to ask a question about what book made a positive impact for you.
I'm so sorry. Excuse me.
What book or books made a positive impact for you in your path to success?
Okay. To be completely honest, I have not been the best reader. My attention span just doesn't allow me to. However,
Thank you.
That's your excuse too now? I thought it was time.
No, it's not time. But I appreciate that she said she's not a big reader. That's where I went the thank you from. But thank you.
But my bookshelf will fool you if you come to my house and you see my book. I will buy any book that anybody recommends. But I really truthfully have had challenges with reading. I'm more hands-on. So I'd prefer to go to a class and talk to somebody in person and learn and be able to ask questions than to read. But to answer your question, one of my favorite books of all time, Think and Grow Rich.
Napoleon Hill.
You know,
Classic.
It's a classic. It's a classic, and he gets you together mentally to get out of the mindset that you were raised in. And I can appreciate that 100%.
Thank you. Thank you for being transparent. You gave Kimberly some validation.
I got you, Kim. I got
Thank you, Brittney. They try to clown me. They're like, "Oh, get on the
No.
audios," and I just don't have time for the audios or the books. You know,
We
I'm
would
a-
never shame you. We're not
Clowning. Not clowning.
They
Yeah.
don't clown. They don't clown. But you know, they're like, "Really?"
I mean, I have good intentions.
Me too.
But it's like I picked up a book maybe a week or so ago. I can't tell you the name of it. It's still on my dresser, and I'm probably halfway through chapter 1. I probably read.
Yeah, it's a commitment. It's a commitment. You have to be in the moment.
Right.
You have to be in the moment, and there's just so much going on right now. And times are just busy, and it's difficult. You have to like commit to like, oh, I'm going to read a chapter a day, or
Right.
what, you know what I mean? You have to kind of make that commitment. It has to be something that you really that there's a purpose. You know, it has to be a reason for it. And so I can relate to that.
It has to be desirable, you know. And I don't know. I figure out other avenues to, you know, collapse time frames and to create value and learn. And I'm gonna do better. I promise, though.
Reading is time consuming. It is. It's time consuming. It takes time to read a book. So
whether you read it or hear it
Listen.
from somebody else, watch a YouTube, Audible, the at the end of the day is, do you have the knowledge and do you apply it?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what's key. Is the collection of the knowledge and the application of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for just coming on Real Women Real Estate. And we appreciate you giving us your time today and educating us. I definitely learned some things that I did not know about life insurance, different types of life insurance. And so I'm going to find out what I have. And the joke about life insurance, the running joke is, you know, like my husband didn't want to get life insurance because he was like, she's gonna try to kill me. That was the one didn't want life insurance, right? So I've learned some things, and now I want to get educated to find out what did I actually have, and is it something that I can build wealth from?
Absolutely.
So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. And some cultures believe that also, believe it or not.
What is that?
Certain cultures just don't believe in life insurance. They think it's like cheating the system or stealing or something like that. So, and then some do think, like you said, that no, you know, I don't want my wife killing me, but you know,
the funny part is when you hear about those people killing their loved ones for life insurance, it'd be like $100,000, $200,000.
Right.
There's like $1 million policies out there. And I'm like,
exactly.
Well,
I'm gonna leave y'all with one question, you know, regarding life insurance to ask yourselves, ask your loved ones, and to just be truthful about it, is that, you know, if your loved one or breadwinner didn't come home tomorrow, what would you do today?
Mm-hmm.
What would you do differently?
Amen.
Right. And the second thing that I want to leave is a formula to determine how much insurance you need. And it's called D.I.M.E. It's your debt, your income, your mortgage, and your education. And 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be the $50,000 or the 3 times that $150,000 policy that you have with your employer. And you're not going to always be there. You're going to retire. And when you retire, that's not the time to purchase insurance, especially when you have the ability to pay for it now throughout retirement age, and then not even have a premium to pay after that.
Yes.
I was dropping, just mic drop.
Like
That's
she left
game
that
over.
Question. Look at
Yep, game over. So where
She
can
gave
our
us
listeners
homework.
find you? Where can our listeners reach you? What's your handles? What is your preferred method of communication?
Okay. So right now I'm still working on mastering the Instagram. My Instagram handle is Miss B Golden, MISS Golden. I'm working on, you know, learning more about how to use Facebook, and I'm working on, posts and different. I'm doing a lot more than I used to. So, working on more content and the confidence to just sit down and do this and believe that it's valuable. That's been a transition to get to be willing to do this. So definitely still a work in progress. And for now, Miss B Golden, there's a link in my bio that you can do a free 15-minute consultation. I'll send an email out requesting a phone number, and I'll just call directly, and let's talk.
Awesome.
I love it.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you so much for your time, Brittney. Stay on for a second. We're gonna sign off of Facebook, but we'll continue. But thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for being on our podcast. And
absolutely, this was a great episode.
It was very beneficial.
Thank you, ladies, for having me. You made me feel comfortable. You made me believe that I can be transparent, and I thank you for having that culture and that comfortability within. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Cheers. Just a few girls from the block.
Cheers.
You can't.
A few girls from the block. Shout out to my water over here. H2O. H2O.
My margarita's almost gone, but cheers.
I think you try to teach me how to do this Facebook Live.
Right. Well, that's a work in progress too, see. But we will see you guys later, and see you next week, guys. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.